बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम अस्सलाम वालेकुम। कैसे हैं आप? दिस इज लेक्चर नंबर 29. लेट्स स्टार्ट. So first we take a review of last lecture. In last lecture we have discussed the concept of joint distribution, and in particular we discussed the concept of bivariate distributions, and we have discussed how we can calculate bivariate distributions if we have two random variables x and y. And in addition we have discussed the concept of marginal distribution, that how we can calculate marginal distributions from the bivariate distributions, and we have also discussed the concept of finding conditional probabilities in case of bivariate distributions, and then we have discussed some of the related problems. And then in the last lecture we have discussed the concept of movement generating functions and the characteristic functions. So both are used as an alternative route for finding the properties of the probability distribution. So but in some cases movement generating function does not exist for some distributions. So in that case, in order to get the properties of the probability distribution, we can use the characteristic function as well. And then in the last lecture we have also discussed the concept of covariance between two random variables, that how the two variables are associated with each other, that increase in one variables whether it leads to increase or decrease in other variables, and we have discussed some formulas of the covariance. So we have in addition we have discussed some of the related examples of all these concepts. So let us discuss the objectives of the current lecture. In this lecture, first we will explain some important results regarding covariance, and then we will calculate covariance using MS Excel software package. And then in the later half of this lecture we will explain how we can describe the bivariate data set, and in particular we will discuss some methods including scatter plot, and then the concept of correlation, and then we will also discuss some of the properties of the correlations, and we will also discuss the related examples of all these concepts, and we will try to do the Excel demo of calculating correlation coefficient. So let's start. So in the last lecture we have defined the covariance between two random variables x, y. So it is a numerical measure of the extent to which their values tend to increase or decrease together, and it is given by covariance between x and y is expected value of x minus ex times y minus ey, and on simplification this formula becomes covariance between x, y is e expected value of xy minus ex times ey. And then we discussed that the covariance of random variable x with itself is called the variance. So now we discuss one very important result, that if x and y are independent, then the covariance between x and y is 0. Why it becomes 0? Because if x and y are independent, then expected value of this product, it is equal to expected value of x times expected value of y. Remember that we have studied this result in one of our previous lectures when we discussed the concept of expectation. So expected value of product of two random variables x, y, it is equal to the product of individual expectations, that is expected value of x times expected value of y, where x and y are assumed to be independent. So in this formula, if we replace this expression by Ex times Ey, this result, so you can see that the same thing will be cancelled with same thing, so covariance will be equal to 0. So if x and y are independent, then covariance between x and y will be 0. So again, so next we discuss note 3, the converse of above results does not hold. So here the result states that if x and y are independent, their covariance is 0. So its result, its converse does not hold. That is, if covariance between two random variables x, y is 0, then it doesn't mean that x and y are independent. So if both are independent, then covariance is 0. But the converse is not true, that if covariance is 0, it does not necessarily applies that the two variables are independent. So let us explain this result with the help of an example. So suppose x is a random variable which follows normal distributions with mean 0, so and any variance, and y is the square of random variable x, so y is equal to x square. So you can see that both x and y are not independent. Why? Because if we know the value of x, we can calculate the value of y by squaring the value of x, because y is the square of x. So it means x and y are they are related with each other, or they are depending upon each other. So y actually depends upon x. So if we take x 1, then y will be square of 1, which will be 1. So y cannot be different from 1. If x is 2, then y is square of 2, which is 4. So y cannot be different from 4. So it means knowing the value of x, we can find the value of y. So it means here in this case, x and y are dependent. So now calculate the covariance between x and y. So covariance of x and y, so replace the value of y here, which is x square. So it is covariance of x and x square. So according to this formula, so covariance of xy is expected value of xy. So it is expected value of x into x square, which is x cube, minus expected value of x times expected value of y, which is expected value of x into expected value of x square, or you can write it in any order. So here we have assumed that x is a normal random variable with mean 0. So if the mean of x is 0, so it means expected value of x is 0. So this expression is equal to 0 by assumption. So 0 times x square is 0. So we are left with expected value of x cube. But since x is a normal random variables, that is, it follows the normal distributions, and since we know that normal distribution is symmetric, so symmetric mean equally spreaded around the mean, so it means the third moment is 0 because it has no skewness. So Ex cube is 0. So the covariance between x and y is 0. So here in this case, note that the covariance between random variable x and y is calculated to be 0. So but the two random variables x and y, they are not independent. So this example explains that 0 covariance does not imply the independence. So but if they are if two variables x and y, random variables x, y are independent, then their covariance will be 0. But 0 covariance does not mean that they are independent. They can be dependent, just like here we have shown in this example that if x is a normal random variable and y is square of it, so both are dependent, but even then their covariance is 0. So 0 covariance does not mean that they are independent. They can be dependent, but independent means their covariance is 0. So next, do the Excel demo. So let us move to the Excel spreadsheet in order to do the demo of covariance. So here is the Excel spreadsheet. Here I have the data on two variables, height in inches and weight in pounds of 10 individuals. So here I have labeled this height as X and labeled the weight as Y. So we have data on two variables, X and Y. X represents height in inches, Y represents weight in pounds of 10 individuals. So we have 10 observations. So we want to calculate the covariance between X and Y. So here is the formula for finding the covariance. So our sample covariance. So covariance between two random variables X, Y is 1 over n into summation xi minus x bar into yi minus y bar, and where I ranges from 1 to n. So first here calculate the x bar, which is the average value of x. It is also called the mean. So just type an equal sign. So average of C4 to C13, we get x bar, and similarly calculate average of D4 to D13. This will give us the y bar. So once we have x bar and y bar in hand, so we have to find the deviations, x minus x bar and y minus y bar. So here construct a new column, label it as x minus x bar. So we have to subtract this 68.59, which is x bar, the mean of x, from each of these 10 values of x. So just type C4 equal sign and C4 minus this C14. And remember that since we have to subtract this mean, which is 68.59 from each of these x values, so we need to use the dollar signs. So dollar before column heading, that is $C, and dollar before row heading $14. So $C $14, this will fix this number in cell C14, and that's it. So this is x minus x bar, copy it down throughout. So C5 minus C14, and here in the end we have C13 minus C14. And next similarly calculate y minus y bar, the deviations of y from its mean. So it is D4 minus D14, and again I have used the dollar signs with D14 to keep it fixed, whereas D4 is without dollars, because when we copy this formula downward, D4 will change to D5 and then D6, but due to dollars D14 will remain fixed. So here again you can see that D5 minus 14, and that's it. So we have this data here. Last one is the D13 minus D14. And now look at the formula of this covariance. It is x minus x bar times y minus y bar. So construct a new column here, which is the product of x minus x bar and y minus y bar. So it means we need to multiply the entries in column E with the entries in column F. So here E4 times F4, and then copy this formula, this command downward. In next cell we have E5 minus E5 times F5, and so on. Last one is E13 times F13. So before moving further, calculate the sum of x minus x bar. So remember that sum of deviations taken from mean, that is summation x minus x bar, this should be 0. And here you can see that it is 0, minus 1.42109 E minus 14. E minus 14 mean 0.0013 times 0 and then 142109. So it is 0 to the 13th digit. So actually it is approximately equal to 0. Similarly, sum of y minus y bar, so it is also 0. So this is a checkpoint. If this sum is different from 0, so it means you did certain type of mistake. You need to cross check your calculations. And in the end, look at this formula, covariance between x, y, we need to take sum or summation of this product. So here is the sum of G4 to G13. So this will give us summation xi minus x bar times yi minus y bar, where I ranges from 1 to 10, because in this case we have 10 observations. So that's it. So this is our required number, 120.8534. So if we divide this number 120.8534 by n is 10 in this case, we get the covariance between x and y. So covariance between x and y, it is equal to G14 divided by 10, because we have n equals 10 in this case. So the covariance is 12.0853. So note that the covariance is positive, so it means when x increases, y also increases. So there is a positive association between the two variables. So it means when height increases, weight also increases, or when height decreases, weight also decreases. So, but if covariance is found to be negative, it means when one variable increases, the second decreases, or one decreases, second one increases. So there is reverse behavior. But here, since covariance is positive, so it means there is positive association between the two variables, height and weight in this case. So we can also calculate covariance using a built-in command in Microsoft Excel. So using the built-in function, we can calculate the covariance as well. So the built-in command is covariance, C-O-V-A-R, covar. It returns covariance, which is the average of products of deviations of each data point pair in two data sets. So covar, and then put the parenthesis and then array 1. Array 1 means list of values of first variable, which is height in this case, and then put comma and then array 2. Array 2 is the values of weight. So that's it. So covar and then parenthesis C4 C13, the first variable, then comma D4 D13, the second variable, and press enter. So you can see that using the built-in command and using this formula, the answer is same. So in future you should know both methods. So one is using built-in command and second one is using the full details by using the formula for the covariance. So that's it. This is how you can use Microsoft Excel spreadsheet program to find the covariance. So now we discuss how one can describe the bivariate data set. So sometimes our interest lies in finding the relationship or association between the two variables. So this can be done by the following methods. So scatter plot, correlations, and covariance as well actually, and the regression analysis. So but as far as this current lecture is concerned, we are keeping our focus on the scatter plot, covariance, which we have already discussed, and the correlations. And the discussion of regression analysis will be discussed in our next two lectures. So let us discuss first the scatter plot. The first step in finding whether or not a relationship between two variables exists is to plot each pair of independent and dependent observations, xi, yi, this order pair x, y, where I ranges from 1 to n, as a point on a graph paper. So such a diagram, which is obtained by plotting all the points on the graph paper, is called scatter diagram or scatter plot. So usually independent variable is taken along x-axis, whereas the dependent variable is taken along y-axis. So suppose we wish to graph the relationship between foot length. Here foot length is taken along x-axis, and height. So height is taken along y-axis. So of 20 individuals or 20 subjects. So in order to create the graph, which is called scatter plot or scatter diagram, or also called scattergram, we need the foot length and height for each of our subjects. So we need the data of the two variables, the foot length, the first variable, let us say it is x, and the height, let us say it is y. So we need the data of these two variables on 20 subjects or 20 students. The subject may be the individuals, the students, or any other person. So now assume that our second subject had an 8-inch foot and was 62 inches tall. So find 8 inches on x-axis. So draw a vertical line at 8 and find 62 inches on the y-axis. So draw a horizontal line at y equals to 62. Locate the intersection of 8 and 62, which is this point shown by arrow, and place a dot at the intersection of 8 and 62. So this dot, which is placed at 8 and 62, it represents another pair, which is 8 and 62. So similarly, you can draw all the ordered pairs, all the information related to 20 subjects in your data set. So continue to plot points for each pair of scores. So here is the full scatter plot. So this is how you can construct a scatter plot given any data on two variables x and y. So notice how the scores cluster to form a pattern. So the more closely they cluster to a line that is drawn through them, the stronger the linear relationship between the two variables is. So in this case, the two variables are the foot length and height. So you can see from this red line that most of the dots, they lie very close to the red line. We have also drawn an ellipse which covers or encapsulates all the dots. So the more thin shape or closely packed the ellipse is, the more stronger the relationship between the variables is. So if the points on the scatter plot have an upward movement from left to right, so as shown in this diagram, so we say that the relationship between the variables is positive. If the points on the scatter plot have a downward movement from left to right, we say the relationship between the variables is negative. So if the slope of this line is positive, so you can see that the slope is positive, we have positive relation, and if the slope is negative, we have the negative relationship between the 2 points. So a positive relationship means the high scores on one variable. So here the value is around 12. They are associated with high scores on the other variables. So x value is 12 and y value is around 72. So high value of x is related with high value of y. It also indicates how low score on one variable. Let us consider around 6. They are associated with low scores on the other variables. So high score matches with high score and low score matches with low score. But a negative relationship means a high score on one variable, so here it is around 11, are associated with low scores on the other. So on the other we have around 62.23. It also indicates that low score on one variable. So on x-axis this is around 5, which are associated with high score on the other variable. so which are around 71. So this indicates a negative relationship. So now the scatter plot of no relationship between the two variables. So suppose here we have x and y, the two variables. So if scatter plot is somewhat circular in shape, so then we can see that there is no relationship between the two variables. So we say that the two variables are independent, or increase or decrease in one variable has no impact on increase or decrease in other variable. So let us discuss the concept of correlation. So correlation measures the direction and strength of the linear relationship between two random variables. In other words, two variables are said to be correlated if they tend to vary in some direction simultaneously. So if both variables tend to increase or decrease together, the correlation is said to be direct or positive. So for example, the length of an iron bar, it will increase as the temperature increases. So as temperature goes up, the length goes up. So it means there is a direct relationship between the length of iron bar and the temperature. So we can say that there is a positive relationship between these two variables. So but if one variable tends to increase as the other variable decreases, so the correlation is said to be inverse or negative. For example, if time spent on watching TV increases, so then grades of students decrease. So if you spend more time on watching TV shows, so then obviously you will give less time to your studies and the grades will go down. Or so it means there is a negative relationship or inverse relationship between the two variables. First is time spent on watching TV, second one is the grades of students. So this is an example of negative or inverse correlation. And if a variable neither increases nor decreases in response to an increase or decrease in other variable, then the correlation is said to be zero. So for example, the correlation between shoe price and time spent on exercise is zero, because these two variables are not related. So let us discuss some of the notations. So for population data, it is the correlation is denoted by the Greek letter rho. So this is called rho, and note that this is different from letter P. So it is usually written in this form, and in case of sample data, it is denoted by Roman letter R, or usually RXY, where these two X and Y, these subscripts are added to denote that the correlation is found within variables X and Y. So the range of correlation is from -1 and +1. So correlation lies between -1 and +1, where -1 and +1 both are included. So if rho is equal to -1, so this means that perfect negative linear association. And if rho is equal to 0, this means that no linear association between the two random variables. And if it is equal to +1, this means that there is perfect positive linear association. So note that in correlation analysis, both the variables are random, and hence they are treated symmetrically. That is, there is no distinction between dependent and independent variables. Whereas in regression analysis, to be discussed in forthcoming lectures, we are interested in determining the dependence of one variable, that is random, upon the other variable, that is non-random or fixed. And in addition, in regression analysis, we are interested in predicting the average value of the dependent variable by using the known or fixed value of the other variable, which is called the independent variables. But as far as correlation is concerned, both variables are treated as random, and hence they are treated symmetrically. So, but in regression analysis, one is treated as random and other one is treated as fixed. So we will study regression in our next lecture. So you will get a more clear idea on this. Okay, one more important concept, that there is no assumption of causality. The fact that correlation exists between two variables does not imply that any cause and effect relationship, but it describes only the linear association. So if correlation between two variables is found, it does not mean that one variable actually affects the other variables, or other variable is affected by or caused by this variable. So, but it only describes linear association between the two variables. So correlation is necessary but not a sufficient condition for determining causality. So in order to find the causal relationship between the variables, there should be correlation, but it is not the sufficient conditions. So for sufficient, it is necessary that the two variables should be interrelated, but it is not sufficient conditions, and if one variable is actually causing the other variables, so then we say that there is some causal relationship between the two variables. So let us explain this with the help of an example. So two unrelated variables such as sale of bananas and the death rate from cancer in a city. So these are, the sale of banana has nothing to do with death rate from cancer in a particular city. So these are the two unrelated variables. So, but they may produce a high positive correlation, so which may be due to a third unknown variables, usually called the confounding variables, namely the city population. So due to these city populations, these two variables, they appear to have a positive correlations. Now let us explain how there exists positive correlation between these two unrelated variables. So the relationship between these two variables, it appears due to this third variables, the city population. The larger the city, the more individuals, the more population of that city will be, the more consumption of bananas, because if there are large number of individuals living in a city, so obviously the consumption of banana will increase, and higher will be the death rate from cancer. Why? Because if there are more individuals living in a certain area, so it means there will be more individuals who will have certain type of disease. So clearly this is a false, or it is a merely an incidental correlation, which is the result of this third variable, which is actually the city size. So such a false correlation between two unconnected variables is called spurious correlation, or it is also called nonsense correlation. So therefore one should be very careful in interpreting the correlation coefficient as a measure of relationship or interdependence between the two variables. So let us discuss how we can compute correlation coefficient. So Karl Pearson provided one formula for finding the correlation coefficient, which is called Pearson product movement correlation coefficient. So it is a numerical measure of the strength in the linear relationship between any two variables, sometimes called coefficient of simple correlation, or it is also called total correlations, or simply the correlation coefficient. So the population correlation coefficient for a bivariate distribution is denoted by rho, it is equal to the covariance between two random variables x, y divided by the square root of variance x times variance y. So we can write it as covariance between x and y divided by, if we separate the square root to each of these variances, so square root of variance is actually the standard deviation of x, and similarly here square root of variance of y is standard deviation of y. So it means the correlation is actually the covariance divided by standard deviation of x times standard deviation of y. So this is the formula for finding population correlation coefficient, which is denoted by rho. So you can also use rho xy as well. So the sample correlation coefficient for a bivariate distribution is R is equal to, so I'm just plugging in the value of covariance, our variance and variance x and variance y. So covariance is actually 1 over n times summation xi minus x bar times yi minus y bar, and then this variance of x is 1 over n times summation xi minus x bar whole square, and then the variance of y is 1 over n times summation yi minus y bar whole square. So if you simplify it, so just multiply this 1 over n with 1 over n, it will become 1 over n square. So if you take outside, if you take this 1 over n square outside this square root sign, so square will be cancelled with square root, so we will be left with 1 over n. So that 1 over n will be cancelled with this 1 over n. So actually these two 1 over n, they collectively cancels with this 1 over n. So this is the simplified formula, summation xi minus x bar times yi minus y bar whole divided by square root of summation xi minus x bar whole square into summation yi minus y bar whole square. Or using the simple notations without subscripts, we can write it as summation x minus x bar into y minus y bar whole divided by square root of summation x minus x bar square into summation y minus y bar whole square. So computationally easier version for finding the correlation is R is equal to summation xy minus summation x summation y whole over n and whole divided by summation x square minus summation x whole square over n into summation y square minus summation y whole square over n and whole square root. So remember that this formula is obtained by simplifying the formula, this last formula. So if we multiply and simplify it, we get this version of the formula. Or we can take the LCM, so n is LCM, you can simplify it, so n will become here, so n summation xy minus summation x summation y, and similarly taking LCM here, and this n will be cancelled with this n in numerator, so the simplified version is n summation x square minus summation x whole square to this expression, and then this denominator is we have to take square root of this denominator. So this is formula for finding the correlation coefficient in case of sample data. Remember that correlation coefficient R is a pure number and hence it is a unitless. So there is no unit which is used to describe the correlation coefficient. So let us explain the idea of correlation with the help of an example. Consider hypothetical data on two variables x and y. So here we have data on x and y where x takes values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whereas y takes value 2, 5, 3, 8, 7. So question is calculate product movement coefficient of correlation between x and y. So we know that here is the formula for finding the correlation coefficient. R is summation x minus x bar into y minus y bar divided by square root of summation x minus x bar square into summation y minus y bar whole square. So we have data on x and y. So look at this formula. So from the formula we need to calculate x bar and y bar. So x bar is summation x over n. So summation x is 15. So 15 over 5 we get x bar as 3. Similarly, summation y is 25. So y bar is summation y over n. So 25 over 5 we get 5. So we have the value of x bar and y bar. So now calculate x minus x bar and y minus y bar. So construct these two columns, x minus x bar and y minus y bar. So x is 1 and x bar is 3. So 1 minus 3 we get minus 2. Similarly 2 minus 3 we get minus 1, and so on, 0, 1, 2. And remember that this summation x minus x bar, it should be 0. So next column is x minus x bar whole square, because here we need to calculate x minus x bar whole square. So square it, square of minus 2 is 4, square of minus 1 is 1, square of 0 is 0, and so on. So summation x minus x bar whole square is the sum of all these values, which is 4 plus 1 plus 1 plus 4, so which is equal to 10. So this is actually summation x minus x bar whole square. So now calculate y minus y bar. Y bar is calculated to be 5. So y is 2. So 2 minus 5 we get minus 3. Then 5 minus 5 we get 0, and similarly we can calculate other values. So this should also be 0. So summation y minus y bar must be 0. So sum of deviations taken from mean should be 0. Next we need to calculate summation y minus y bar whole square. So construct a new column and label it as y minus y bar whole square. So square of minus 3 is 9, square of 0 is 0, square of minus 2 is 4, and so on. And this number is summation y minus y bar whole square. So now in the numerator we need to multiply x minus x bar with y minus y bar. So this is the next column, x minus x bar steric y minus y bar. So here we have x minus x bar, here we have y minus y bar. So minus 2 into minus 3. So minus into minus, it will make it plus. So 2, 3, 6, we get plus 6. Then minus 1 into 0, we get 0. 0 into minus 2, we get 0. Then 1 into 3, we get 3. And last one, 2 into 4. So we get 2 into 2. So we get 4. So this is y minus y bar, x minus x bar, so we get 4. So now add all these values together, 6 plus 0 plus 0 plus 3 plus 4. So 6, 3, 9 plus 4, 13. So this is summation x minus x bar into y minus y bar. So we have everything in hand. So just plug in these values in this formula. So it is 13, this one, divided by summation x minus x bar square 10 and summation y minus y bar whole square 26. So just simplify it, we get a value of correlation which is 0.8, and it is positive. So it means, this shows that both x and y has positive correlation. So it means if x increases, then y also increases, or if x decreases, y also decreases. So since the value of correlation is 0.8, which is very close to plus 1, so we say that there is comparatively high level of correlation. And suppose if the calculated value is around 0.5 or 0.4 or 0.6, then we say that there is moderate value of correlation. And if it is 0.1 or 0.2 or 0.3 suppose, then we say that the correlation is relatively low. And similarly, if we have negative numbers, so minus 0.5, then we say that there is negative correlation, but correlation is of moderate size. And if we have here negative values, we say that there is low level of correlations and it is negative. So let us calculate the correlation coefficient using an alternative method. So here is the alternative formula, n summation xy minus summation x summation y whole over square root of n summation x square minus summation x whole square into n summation y square minus summation y whole square. So here is the same data x and y. So now from this expression you can see that we need to calculate summation x and summation y and summation y square, summation x square and summation xy. So here is summation x and summation y. So it means we need to construct additional columns, one x square, and then we take its sum, then y square, take its sum, then the product of xy, take its sum. So here is x square, y square, xy. So this is summation x square, summation y square, summation xy. So just put all these values here in this formula and simplifying, we get the same value of correlation coefficient. So whether you use first version of the formula or this version of the formula, it will make no impact on the results. End results will be same. So it's up to you that which formula you like to apply. But if the numbers are, if the values of both both variables x and y are very large, so then squaring and finding product is comparatively not so convenient. So then in that case you need to use the deviation form. So but if you have small values, then simply use this formula. So anyway, nowadays we have MS Excel program, so you can use MS Excel to calculate the value of correlation coefficient. So let us demonstrate how we can use Microsoft Excel to calculate correlation coefficient. So here is the complete data set of around 200 individuals, and we have the data on heights and weights. So height in inches and weight in pounds. So we want to calculate correlation coefficients. So you can construct, you can label this variable as x, second one as y. So you can construct different columns, x square and then y square and then this product xy, and you can calculate their values and use the formula to find the correlation coefficient. But here I am just using the built-in command for finding the correlation, but you are advised to calculate the correlation coefficient just like as I did in case of correlation coefficient. So you can use you can work on the same formula, same lines to calculate the value of correlation coefficient. But currently I am going to use the built-in function to calculate the value of correlation coefficient. So just put an equal sign and the command is correl. So correl is the built-in functions. So put the parenthesis. So before putting parenthesis, look at the Excel tooltip. This says that it returns the correlation coefficient between two data sets. So put the parenthesis. It asks us to provide the two arguments. The first argument is array 1. So here you can put value of x and then put comma and then array 2, which will be the values of y. So that's it. So just select the x range and y range and press enter. So the correlation is found to be 55.6865%. So it means there is a positive correlation between the two. So it means as height increases, weight also goes up, or as height decreases, weight also decreases. So since the correlation is around, it is close to 50%, so we say that both variables are, they have positive correlation, and level of correlation is of moderate size. So now let us discuss some of the properties of correlation. So correlation only measures the strength of a linear relationship. So but there are other kinds of relationships besides the linear relationships also exist. For example, in case of non-linear relationship, we cannot use correlation. So it is used in case of only linear relationship. The second property is that correlation is symmetrical with respect to the variables x and y. That is, the correlation between xy is same as the correlation between yx. So rxy is same as ryx. So if you calculate, if you change the positions of two variables, the correlation value will remain unchanged. So next property is that correlation coefficient ranges from -1 to +1. So if it is -1, we have perfect negative relation. If it is +1, we have perfect positive relation. If it is 0, we have no relationship or no linear association. The fourth one is that correlation is not affected by change of origin and scale. That is, correlation does not change if you multiply, divide, add or subtract a value to or from all the values of x or the y values. So it is called that correlation is not affected by change of origin and scale. So let me illustrate it here. So suppose we have data on two variables x and y, and suppose the correlation between x and y is found to be 70%. So now add, let's say, number 5 to each of x values. So and calculate the correlation between y and x plus 5. So this will remain same as 0.7. So it means by adding this positive 5 to x values, it will not affect the value of correlations. Previously the correlation between x y was 0.7, and by adding number 5 it is 0.7. So it means by adding a constant, it will not affect the value of correlation. Similarly, by subtracting a constant, it will not affect. Or if we multiply x by any number, let's say 5, so correlation between y and x, it will also remain same. So this is called that correlation is not affected by change of origin and change of scale. So scaling means just multiply and dividing the numbers, and change of origin means adding and subtracting the numbers. And one more time it is stressed that correlation assumes a linear association between the two variables. So it does not incorporate the non-linear relationships. So let us review the main concepts which we have discussed in today's lecture. In today's session, we have discussed the concept of covariance and how we can use MS Excel software package to calculate covariance, and then we have discussed some very important results related to the covariance between two random variables x and y. And then we have discussed how we can describe the bivariate data set by using scatter plot, and then the concept of correlation was introduced. So which measures the strength or the linear relationship or linear association between the two variables. And then we have discussed how we can use MS Excel software package to calculate the correlation between two variables. And then we have discussed some of the useful properties of correlation. So in the next lecture, we will study some of the common misconceptions about correlations, and we will discuss some of the related examples as well. So till then, Allah Hafiz.